This video is going to be on adding and subtracting polynomials. For a quick review, we learned in the last lesson that a polynomial is an expression with multiple terms. More specifically, it's 4 or more. But a lot of times we call all of these polynomials just because it's easier. Then we learned a monomial is an expression with one term. That could be something like an x, a 3y, or something more complicated like 4x squared y cubed z. All of these are monomials because they're just one chunk. A binomial is an expression with two terms, meaning we're going to put a plus or a minus in between two monomials. And then a trinomial would be if we put all of these together in one long string, meaning there's three separate chunks. When we're adding and subtracting, I think you're going to like this a lot more than some of the previous things you've done. When we adding polynomials is just like combining like terms, which hopefully you did earlier this year. Only terms with variables of the same degree can be combined. So for example, if they give you 4x squared plus 2x, I can't actually combine those because that's an x squared and that's an x. An x squared is not the same thing as an x, so we can't add that together. We could add it together if that was a squared. If that said squared, now 4x squareds plus 2x squareds together makes 6x squareds. So it's all in how the problem is written. So when we're adding polynomials, what I recommend is if they write it long like this, I recommend pretending that you're going back to first grade when you learned how to add basic things, and we're going to actually rewrite it so that the problem is up and down. So what we're going to do is we're going to say this is an x cubed, and remember if there's no number in front, that means it's 1. And I'm just going to line up my 1x cubed under my 4x cubed. Then this says minus 5x squared, so we line it up under the 2x squared and put minus 5x squared. And then our last one says plus 1x, so I'm going to put my plus 1x under here. And if there isn't anything to go with this one, we'll just put a plus 0 so that we remember it's there. And now what's great is we just add like we're in first grade again. We know these are the same, so we just go 4 plus 1 is 5x cubed. 2 minus 5 is negative 3x squared. 6 plus 1 is 7x. And negative 4 plus 0 is negative 4. So our final answer is a polynomial. It has a degree of 3 because that's the biggest exponent out of all of them. And our answer would be 5x cubed minus 3x squared plus 7x minus 4. So I really recommend don't try doing it in your head, especially when we get negatives. Go ahead and try and list one on top of the other. So our second example here, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring this over. So I'm going to put my plus in the front and do 3x squared. Now pay attention, this one is an x cubed, so it has to go under the other x cubed. And then it says minus 12. Well, that's not a whole number by itself. So at the end, we're going to put minus 12 and put a plus 0 up here. And now this guy doesn't have a friend, so we can put a plus 0 there. And for those of you that really like being neat and organized, if you don't like this, we could have rewritten it over here and just done the whole problem in a new space. So now I'm going to go ahead and add negative 2 plus 3 is 1x squared. 3x plus 0 is 3x. Negative 1x cubed plus a positive 1x cubed is a 0x cubed, which technically means that whole thing can go away. And now 0 minus 12 is negative 12. And last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to write it so it's neater. We always write in order from biggest exponent to least. So 3x minus 12. And there's your answer. And that's really all there is to adding. So now let's go ahead and look at subtracting. When we're subtracting, the one difference is we're not just going to line them up. Before we do that, we're actually going to change this to a plus sign. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that this is a -1, and we're going to use our rules of distributive property and multiply everything here by a -1. If I do that, -1 times -1x squared, y squared, that means this is going to become a plus, and now this is a y squared, positive. -1 times 4 is -4y, and -1 times -3 is plus 3. So I've gotten rid of this minus by changing it to a plus, and now I've distributed. Your program may have you leave it as a negative, but in my experience, I find that I tend to mess myself up subtracting a negative, so I like to just turn it into a plus and make my life easier. Because now that this is a plus, we're going to do just like we did in addition and line it up under the first one and go 1y squared minus 4y plus 3. Now I don't have to worry about subtracting a negative. This is addition. So 5 plus 1 is 6y squared. 2 plus -4 is -2y. And -4 plus 3 is -1. And there's your answer. So one more time for today. I'm going to make this a -1. And I'm basically going to change all the signs. This becomes a plus. This becomes a -2c squared plus a 4c minus 1. So if it was positive, it became negative. If it was negative, it became positive. And now we're going to line it up. We have to pay attention. This is a cubed. This is a squared. So we're going to put -2c squared here. Now I have a plus 4c. None of these are a c by itself. So we're going to put it over here on the end and make this a 0c up here. And then we'll bring our -1 over here. And since this didn't have a friend, we could put in a 0. Now when we add, we get 2c cubed plus 3c squared minus 9, because -1 plus -8 is -9, plus this 4c. Now, it's not quite in order because we want it in order from 3, 2, then 1. So last thing we're going to do is do 2c cubed plus 3c squared plus 4c minus 9. And there is your final answer. So that's everything you need to know for adding and subtracting polynomials. Hope this helps you.